welcome to another edition of the Above the Bridge podcast. Shout out to our sponsors. First up, we have Defend Hawaii. Go check them out on their website or go to No One at Winter Mall. Ask for Chris Meheula. Tell them you want to see all the good stuff that they got. If you go on their website, go to defendhawaii.com, promo code ATBpod upon checkout. You'll receive 15% off your entire purchase order. Another one of our sponsors. Okay, if you have a new car or if you have an old car, if you want to make your car look good, clean, vacuumed, just if you want to detail your car, go to IREP Detail Supply. They have a shop in Temple Valley Shopping Center. Go ask for Kaika Rapoon. He'll help you out. He's knowledgeable of all his products. They have waxes, soaps, buffers, anything you need. Go check them out or go to irepdetailsupply.com. Promo code ATBpod upon checkout. You'll receive 15% off everything they have. Okay, last of our sponsors, we have Hawaii Candy Factory. And I'm sure you see these guys' stuff everywhere. There's not a day that I don't see their stuff at a store or somebody eating it. They have these little packs and they're called noms. And what it is some kind of candy that they mix with lihimui and lemon peel. They have the best snacks on the island. If you go check them out, go to hawaiicandyfactory.com, promo code ATBpod upon checkout, and you'll receive 10% off your entire purchase order. Okay, welcome to another edition of the Above the Bridge podcast. I'm your host, Thaddeus. This week I have Hawaii News Now TV reporter. His name is Eddie DOWD. Welcome to my show, man. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I just want to set the record straight. This is not my house, so the pink background is my parents' home. My mom doesn't include me in any of the decision making. So if I had to say, I would have had her do white. But thanks for having me on.
Is the whole house pink or just that room?
Just the kitchen. It really doesn't make any sense, but that's my mom for you.
Yeah, I'm the same way. My mom had our house painted white with red trim around, and we're in Kaneo, and it just looks like candy cane house, and there's no way that I could have talked her out of it, but I embrace it. She's now. Happy. So, yeah. Yep, mom got the rules, so that's all you could do. So you're in Massachusetts right now?
Yeah, my parents live here. Originally from New York City, but I'm helping them with some stuff, and so yeah, I'm here. It's cold.
Yeah, how cold is it up there?
Well, when I landed on Sunday, it was 32 degrees, and the moment I walked out the plane, I was like, I'm going back. I'm ready to go back. This is, but right now it's a warm, as they call it, 50 degrees.
I guess that's not too bad. I was in California a couple weeks ago and it was like high 50s, and yeah, it's not that. Yeah, it's pretty bad for people from Hawaii.
Exactly.
So I just saw a post that you just recently posted, which was kind of weird because I was kind of talking to one of my friends about it. And it was about aloha and how people in the mainland perceive that word and what it means. And for me, I know what it means, but I wanted to get your input on that because it's so random. I was talking to a friend about it, and then you just so happily posted it like kind of right before we jumped on. So I just wanted to know your opinion, and I could kind of discuss it with you because I got my own thoughts as well.
Yeah, so it's the trippiest thing because you know, technically I'm on vacation, even though I'm working with my parents on moving and stuff like that. But so I'm technically like checked out, you know, like don't want to think about news, Hawaii. Like I'm okay being disconnected. But I was at the gym working out, and I see this. I'm like, what are the odds that I'm like 5,000 miles away from Hawaii, and Fox News, the national news, is talking about Hawaii and something so big as aloha right in front of me. And so I debated whether, like, do I want to, I don't know, like, I'm always a big believer of like messages and stuff like that. And I just thought it was something. So I really wanted to um get locals perspective because I've been in Hawaii about 4 years now, and I have a funny story about Aloha.
Okay.
I moved here. So embarrassing. This is so shame, but I'm just gonna be honest. I moved here and I was saying aloha to everyone. Like just like aloha, aloha. Like, and
Like
I
as
think
a
it was like my
greeting.
second. Yeah, yeah, and so shame, and I'll explain why. Because on my second day, one of the uncle photogs at my other station I worked at before Hawaii News Now goes to me, goes, "Uh, we don't say that." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "We say how's it." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can say aloha, and but we say how's it. It's more casual." And so, I guess what I'm saying is, what I've come to take as an outsider is that, um, you know, um, it's a very meaningful word, a word with a lot of meaning. And so, if you're going to use it, you should use it. That's what I've learned and what I've taken from my time observing is that it is used um, during matters of importance or meaningful meaning. So I try not to use it that much, um, unless it's I'm engaging with like a kumu or a uncle or auntie, who's Native Hawaiian, who to show that respect. But yeah, that's my take. Is what I think there's a misconception in the continental U.S. is that um, because of the way it's been marketed, is that it's used very like like um like a like a dollar, like spare change, like it's just
Okay.
said whenever when really what I found, and I who know, I mean I could be wrong, but from my experience, I've noticed that it's used with very meaningful by locals. It's only used in meaningful situations and meaningful exchanges, not like a throwaway, like you're buying something at the ABC store, aloha, like
That
that's
makes
just my
sense.
take.
Yeah. I usually use that word as a farewell. Like if I say, oh, okay, aloha, or if somebody does something nice for me, I would say it. For me, aloha is more of a vibe and a feeling. So it was weird to see that because it was about people talking about it. And I always thought to myself that aloha is a good vibe or a good positive emotion or positive saying to make someone smile or make someone feel good. And the aloha spirit is what kind of drives the people of Hawaii to make us different than most people in other places. And I'm not political or anything, it's just my interpretation of it. And I always thought that the world kind of misses that aloha vibe. And of course, now in Hawaii, it's kind of diminishing a little bit. It's a weird vibe in Hawaii. And I've always thought that Hawaii got to be the beacon for aloha. So we need to be strong with that vibe here in Hawaii. And then hopefully it transcends to the United States and throughout the world. And aloha could be a vibe that even the word won't describe. Like you can have aloha and not even know the word aloha, if that makes sense. So
Yeah,
it was cool to see you post it because there's a cool debate. Like some people think aloha is just hello and goodbye, which it can be hello and goodbye. And for me, I use it sometimes when I say goodbye. I'll just say, okay, aloha, brah, or whatever. But you're right, though. Hazit is way easier and it's way, a lot more welcoming. Hey, Hazit, brah, what are you doing? And yeah, so it's kind of cool that you posted that because I was talking to my friend about it and they were like, oh, these guys from the mainland shouldn't even use that. And I was like, bro, that's kind of diminishing the meaning of the word. other people can't use it, then that whole vibe can't be spread, and then it dies here in Hawaii, and that's kind of not what people would want, right? If the whole world had that aloha vibe, there'll be way less problems. And I don't know, it's
I
just me
think,
ranting and my own opinions.
yeah, no, I think really about the education and people understanding the, that aloha does not just mean hello. I
Yeah.
think I think ones who are saying like bringing up this question of using aloha, I believe from reading the article and stuff, um, would like to see more education on what aloha is. Um, but yeah, I totally agree with you. You know, if everyone had that aloha, I mean, mindset, and because it's not just a word, right?
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
yourself. That's what Robert K. Kalla, tried to instill in me, and teach me, and I'm still learning about it. But so yeah, it's crazy that we scheduled this meeting, this talk story, and that happened, and I was like, frick, I gotta post this.
Yeah, that's super cool. And what was weird was I didn't know that you're from the mainland. Just from hearing you talk and to see your connection you have with local people, seemed like you grew up in Hawaii. It was kind of a shock when I read that. Oh, you're from it said the Bronx on your Instagram, so I was like, oh, okay, he's from New York side. It's just you seem like you're from here. I guess because your vibe and I guess your aloha kind of made you already seem local, if that makes sense.
Um, uh, I get that a lot. So, I was in foster care 6 years, and I'm 29 now, so I'm realizing a lot more stuff about myself. When you're in that, you subconsciously develop a assimilation. You become very good at being open and absorbing because you want to belong to your community.
Okay.
So it makes you, if you're going from home to home, right? If you don't have a home, if you have a temporary home, you want to have belonging. You want to, and I think it makes. I think I can speak for other foster care kids and stuff like that, or people who are adopted, and saying we're much more open to absorbing our environment, whatever environment we're in, because it's like a survival instinct.
Oh, that makes sense.
Like the only way to survive is to, blend in, so it's not something, I think it's fully, I don't think it's something that's so conscious, more like something that comes with, I worked 3 years in Nebraska. I'm from New York City, and it's a thing, absorbing. So and also there's similarities with the Bronx and Hawaii in some sense.
Oh
Some,
yeah.
there there's Bronx slang,
Oh yeah.
pigeon, the way you talk, like you don't like pronounce the full word. You like it's just like, yeah, there's some
Like broken
similarities with
English,
that.
huh?
Yeah, yeah. Um, you know, there wasn't a lot of white people growing up in the Bronx. Um, Hawaii is a very mixed melting pot. So there were some similarities to my upbringing, and being able to transfer that to Hawaii. But really, I've been blessed to have so many people take me in and teach me, still teaching me, but let me know, hey, Eddie, that was like super, mainland, let's say. They'll correct me. They correct me, and they still do to this day. And I'm so thankful to have those people, because they know I want to learn, I want to be respectful, I want to be a respectful guest here. And yeah.
That's crazy. So did you feel like you were embraced by the people of Hawaii? Because I was like, right now it's kind of weird with the mainland people coming in and the stereotype. I just seen a post where some girl was ranting about how she wasn't accepted when she moved here, and I was wondering if that held true to you.
Ooh, that's a good question. Pick my job. Order asking questions. Suppose I had an advantage with my skin color.
Yeah,
I don't know
you look
that's
like one Hopper boy.
bad or whatever, but I mean, it just is what it is. So I'm half Russian and I'm half Palestinian Arab. So
Oh,
I
okay.
tan very easily. Um, so to answer your question is, if I weren't to speak, like when I first moved here, if I weren't to speak and you just were to look at me, you might hop, whatever.
Yeah.
So that helped in terms of the acceptance. But as soon as I spoke when I first got here, it was clear I wasn't from here. Um, just by the way I was pronouncing Kalaniana Ole. It was bad. My first month, I was like reporting live in Kaleloha. I always mess that up. I said that live, and I remember Robert calling me. I was like, Eddie, what the, but and I got lucky. I got lucky in that, um, people gave me the benefit of the doubt in terms of if they, not knowing if I wasn't local or not. But still, uh, it's there's always sometimes that feeling of not belonging, you know. Um, Sometimes it's clear that you're not from here and you're
Yeah.
you're a guest here, and sometimes it's there has been times where I've in the beginning was bothered when when it was said to me, like when I felt like I didn't belong here, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And I had to but I had to get okay with that because the reason I was getting so bothered by it was because of my past, you know,
Mm.
in the foster care system, and just wanting to find belonging, wanting to find a home. So what I had to realize was I was internalizing that stuff and letting it bother me. And once I got to a point, I lived on the island of Lanai 6 months.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, in between news jobs, and I really got that place is really like old school Hawaii, like plantation days, and I really got to like figure out stuff about myself, and it made me realize like the first person I have to belong to is myself. Like
100%.
like
Yeah.
like I was looking I was looking for locals, I was looking for like Native Hawaiians and stuff to give me like my belonging pass. Like you belong here, Like you I mean, like
Yeah.
for their acceptance. I mean, it's great to have, of course, to be accepted by the local community and stuff like that, but you shouldn't need that,
Yeah.
you know? And so I think there was some of that going. I knew Hawaii would be a challenge because of, um all the stuff that has led to the feeling with people who just move here and outsiders. Um so I knew it was going to be hard, but I sometimes did take it a little personal. But
Yeah.
once I got to that point, and it was only fairly recently that like I had to accept, like as long as I'm good with me, there are going to be times where someone says to me, Eddie, go home, or Eddie,
Oh,
doesn't hasn't I mean recently, or but I'm going to be okay because I know I know that I'm here as a guest. I know I'm not local. Um, and I do everything I can to try to make an impact and give locals a voice
yeah.
whenever I can. And so I know that, and I know that's my mission. I know I don't always get to do it, but whenever I can, I try to give locals a voice. And so for me, that is grounding enough for me to not get bothered by it.
Yeah, and the reason why I asked that question is my mother's from Connecticut, and she's on
Okay.
Howley Lady from Connecticut, ended up in Hawaii, and met my dad, who's on Local Boy from Big Island, moved to Kali, Palama, grew up, and it just was a weird match, but it worked. And I always like, oh, like my mom's friends were all local aunties, and uh, it was just related and resonated with everybody in the community. She was a educator, so she built her career up in education, and then she was recognized by a lot of her peers, and I always thought, oh, this Howley lady from Connecticut is more local and has more aloha than a lot of people, and it was a trip to me, and I feel like to be local is to be embraced by everybody in the community, but it's also a mindset as well as the aloha that you give off. Because my mom, she could just walk into a room or a restaurant and straight conversations with everybody, and by the time we leave she would have two new friends. And then it would always, like when I was younger, I'd be like, oh ma, just quiet, right, let's just go. But as I got older, I realized that's my mom sharing her aloha that she had from the mainland and didn't even know the word. It just kind of becomes where you are a kamaaina just because you become part of the culture. And I wouldn't say you're a guest, because at one point you're just gonna be kamaaina. You can be from here, and this is you, bro. And I think um at one point you'll realize that is it's not a oh, I need a pass to be a guest. And no, it's a you just gonna be part of everything here. And there's a lot of people here that grew up here that don't have that kind of vibe, and like they're the guest. You know what I mean? Like that, in my opinion. So it was kind of cool to
Oh,
ask you that.
that does make a lot of sense, and I really appreciate that. I just remember, the thing with living here, it was the trippiest thing is I at one time I could be a pop-up Palestinian, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
and then I found that, let's say I piss someone off, right? That goes to you're an effing how.
Yeah.
um to me is it's just funny how it switches. But that was before I got to that belonging of myself. Um
Yeah.
so I get saying like I'm a guest here. That's me like trying, I believe that. I still believe that. And but I want to make sure I'm always acknowledging, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I think you know what I mean.
I think it's just you just want to be respectful. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Uh,
And that's everybody. I want to be respectful, especially to the older people here, and to like the next generation, to kind of be the example of how this place should be. You know what I mean? Because right now it's been, I mean, you do the news, you see all the crazy stuff that's happening here.
it's sad. It's sad what we're seeing. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, uh, these see these incidents like outside 7-Eleven and like Iki, like machetes and old ladies getting. I mean, that uncle in Kaneohe, that
Oh
security
yeah.
guard was stabbed to
Yeah.
death. I mean,
That's where I
it's
go to
just,
work out. I was just there earlier today.
yeah,
Yeah.
what's happening,
Yeah.
so yeah.
It's crazy, but how did you even end up in Hawaii, being from all the way from the Bronx?
Ooh, okay. So I went to college for broadcasting for news in upstate New York, and then so at the time I was like 350 pounds. Like I was big. I was a big brother. Like I was
Oh,
big.
really?
Yeah, I was pretty big. I had yeah, I had a thick New York accent, a Bronx accent. So it was like Hispanic. very Hispanic. So the point is, no one wanted to hire me.
Oh, okay.
So it was in 2016 I graduated college, and so I was at home for in Massachusetts at my parents' house for about a month or two, and I remember my parents were like getting on my case. They're like, "When you gonna get a job?" Like, "Oh, this, like, I." And then I got a job offer in uh was Nebraska. And I remember on the day I got the offer, my mom was driving me crazy. Love her, but she was that day. She was just driving me mental. Like, and so I remember I got the job offer, and I said, "I'll take it." I don't know,
Just to
never
get
been to
out.
Nebraska. Out, and so I got my first shot in Nebraska. Uh, Spent 3 years there. Reported on cows, corn, tornadoes, blizzards. I knew nothing about any of that stuff. Well, I knew something about New York, but yeah, after 3 years there, and Hawaii was never really on my radar, actually, to be honest. In the beginning, like in college, I never was like, oh, I want to live in Hawaii. But I remember, I know this is gonna sound like cliche with like people who want to live in Hawaii, but I was covering a house fire in Nebraska on my birthday. And it was negative like 10 degrees, negative 10 degrees. And it was my birthday. I remember thinking to myself, like, what am I doing with my life? Like, this is it. Like, this is not how I want to be living. Like, standing outside in 3 a.m. at negative 10 degrees at a house fire. So, um, so how I ended up in Hawaii was I basically made a decision. I said, okay, so I used to want to work in New York City. Like that's the top, where all the
News
big,
place. Yeah,
money in
yeah,
America. That was my dream. And then, but to do that, you have to work your way up. You have to go up, up every 2, 3 years. You have to jump. So like Nebraska, then you go like Kansas City, then Orlando, then Philadelphia. You just keep going up, and it's tiring because I like to invest in my community. It's very important to me to be connected and to invest in your community. But you can't do that if you're moving every 2 years. You can't.
that's true.
It's
That's
just,
true.
it's just not. So I made a decision. I said, okay, where is someplace I could live that I could stay and do that, where I could work in news and and stay there and not be covering blizzards, you know, and it's not too like bloody, crime news. And I looked at a few places. I found there's Florida, there's like Texas, there's a few places, that has nice, good weather and good news, like decent news stories that it's not all like crime. And so
Negative
I
stuff.
think, yeah, like okay, let's be honest. No other place is a Muncio getting harassed going to be top news. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like no other place breaking news except for Hawaii. Like I love it. It's
Yeah.
great. I think it's so, but no other place do they care about,
Yeah.
as much about the native wildlife. So so I made the decision. I was like, you know what? So I applied to jobs in Hawaii, news jobs, and I didn't hear back from almost anyone. Um, because they like to hire local, which is good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I was determined. So I told this one news director emailed me back, um, and I said, hey, I'm moving. I think I said aloha. I said, okay, right, right. That's
Yeah.
formal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Formal in the email. Right, different. Writing in the email is different. But so I said aloha. My name's Eddie Dowd. I'm a reporter in Nebraska. I'm moving to Hawaii in 6 months. Without
So
a
you put it
job,
out
I'm moving
there.
here. Yeah, and I sent that to all the news directors, every TV station, and only one got back to me in the beginning. So a week before my flight, I emailed that lady again, and I said, "Hey, aloha, um, I, I'm I'm be there next week, you know, like." And for her saying like, "Oh, like you actually going through with it." So I got there. We set up an interview. At the time, I was working. I got a job at Walmart K Eamoku.
Okay, okay.
Like just to so I had a job at Walmart for a week and did my interview at KITV with the lady who was been talking to me for a couple months. And I just so happened that she got temporary work available. Um, yeah. And so my after my first week in Hawaii, I got the job at KITV.
Oh wow, that's super cool.
Yeah, but it was temporary. It was she could only promise me like month to month for now. But that turned into 3 years.
So you just needed a shot, right? You just needed a shot.
And what happened was while I was there, they had several people leave. So
Oh, you kept filling
okay.
in when the other people came back or whatnot until you grew a fan
Uh,
base.
yeah, yeah, and until after certain amount of people leave, they're like, "Frick, he's already here. Like he's already working for us. Let's just." But you know who did not wasn't too crazy about me getting full time hired there?
Who's that?
Robert K. Kala.
That's funny because you reference him a lot, and I did see one of your posts that referenced him, and it seemed like you had a interesting relationship with that dude, huh?
Yeah, so Robert, love him, love him. We had a rough start at first because Robert, he loved KITV, he loved Hawaii, and he loved his people. Um, and he was full of aloha. He was living aloha, even though it doesn't sound like it from the way he may have talked to me in the beginning, but he was very protective of Hawaii, KITV, and his people. And so therefore he demanded excellence when it came to covering local issues. He demanded it because he cared so much about this place. And so you better have your names pronounced, you better have your pronunciation
Oh,
right. You understand the story right. You better. Just one example is I was covering a story. This was like my first couple of months or weeks, and I'll never forget this. It was they found the remains of one of those those soldiers or Navy sailors who was in Pearl Harbor.
okay.
So once in a while they find like the remains all this time later, right? So they did like a funeral for them, and so he erased my ending. He deleted it and instead wrote, "And on Sunday they gave him a proper aloha."
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? So, and I had written something like, "And on Sunday he was laid to rest." You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So understood storytelling in Hawaii, and but in the beginning we did. He said to me one time, my third month in, he said, "Eddie, if it was up to me, I would have fired your ass."
Oh.
uh, but like I said in my post, I put on my page. At the time, I didn't really care that much about respect
Yeah,
and self-respect, and that was so important to Robert. Having respect for yourself because he was all about respect.
yeah,
I mean, people may not know Robert because he was a big guy and a strong figure. Like he said, so he would say like, "You may not love me. People may not love me. People. I may get people a little, but people respect me.
yeah,
You know.
yep.
Um. So it was just a time thing, and we grew to love each other, and he would have my back, and once he you know basically everyone at KITV was part of his ohana, right?
Yeah.
Right? He loved, he gave so many years to KITV. And so once you were embraced as part of his ohana, that was it. So in the beginning, I wasn't like, he was still like, I hadn't been embraced yet.
Okay.
But once I was like his black sheep. So I was part of his family, but I was his black sheep because I was always messing up and mispronouncing stuff. And but he was one of those people, like I talked about, who um did his best to local style me.
Yeah. Well, if you got embraced by Izohana, then I guess you're not really a guest, right? You're part of the family, right? If you got the
You
pass
can
from
say it.
him. Well, I mean, with him being, like you said, so much of a person and personality on TV, everybody feels connected to him because he's been in so many, and he did a lot of sports, and that's kind of the funner part of news. And he's in your living room every single day, so people connect with him in that way. So I guess, yeah, I mean, that figure must have been awesome to have mentor you, I would say, right?
Yeah, and you know what's sad is I didn't realize, like, we couldn't stand each other. Like I did him in the beginning. He made my life a living hell. He always, he was on me, but I didn't realize how much until now is that if he was on you like that, that means he cared about you. If he
100%.
didn't, and tough love, but if he didn't see potential in you, he wouldn't say anything. And he was on. You can ask people at KITV. Rode me. He was, and I think he one time told one of his buddies. He said, "You know what? That Eddie, he messes up all the time, but he always takes it and comes back for more." Like like he respected that. He respected that. He knew he was hard on me, and it was almost like he was seeing if I would, like
Handle.
throw in the towel.
Yeah.
And so looking back now, it's just I didn't realize at the time how valuable that was, that the mentorship he showed me, and I didn't realize what he was trying to teach me was so important, of carrying yourself with respect, having respect for one. The biggest thing he taught me, and I want to get this out, is that I went into KITV and I went to Hawaii still caring so much about love and belonging, right?
Yeah.
um as someone who was in foster care, that is like all you care about. You want to be accepted, belonged, all that. And he was the anti of that. He was like, F that don't matter. Like, and I could not get it through my head at the time what he was saying. But the biggest point he was trying to make was that, Eddie, that stuff can be taken away like this. Someone
That's
someone
true.
can tell you effing howley, or hey, go back home. You know, that's a sign of you don't belong. Or someone could love you, and then what? You see these people, the people getting divorced, all that, like, it can go away like this. But respect, he said, it's harder because it has to be earned. And losing it really usually relies on your actions, to
Yeah.
lose respect. So what I didn't realize till after his death was what he was trying to teach me. He was trying to protect me in that he wanted to make sure I was grounded in myself. And if I was only looking for if I was looking for validation through love and belonging, he knew, I think, that was not going to last, because the
Yeah.
moment someone takes that, you're a mess.
Oh,
So
that makes a lot of sense. Wow, so he really made a huge impact on your life, not only in your broadcasting, but as someone living in Hawaii,
personally,
or just someone just living in any community.
yeah. And what's so I'm close with his daughter. Um,
Okay.
but I wasn't until after his death, but I was in Massachusetts visiting my parents when he died. And um his daughter was living in Massachusetts 10-20 minutes away from my parents at the time.
Oh wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And and Robert was always a mentor and gave me life advice and about, my parents are elderly, so like that kind of stuff. And when he passed away and I was in Massachusetts and I found out that his daughter was 20 minutes away, I knew I had to go see her. And I was thinking like, oh, what do I bring her? Do I bring flowers? And I could hear Robert's voice in my head going, F the flower, F the flowers, F feed her.
That kind of
Her
would make
food.
sense, huh?
Yeah. But yeah, he really I just didn't learn the stuff he was trying to pass on to me. I didn't fully understand it till after his death.
Well, I mean, that was his goal, right? For you to actually understand, and if you achieve that, then his goal for you to achieve it was met. So I think he'd be pretty stoked about it, right?
He would just say, "Frick, it took me freaking croaking for you to finally get it."
I guess you gotta make some sacrifices. That's crazy. That's a cool
He was
story, bro.
tough. Yeah, he was tough love, but yeah, yeah, he yeah. When you say to me like, "Oh, I didn't know you were not from here," I thought you were local. I mean, it was people like Robert, people like Kumuhina, people who sometimes gave it to me like uncomfortable. They like told it to me straight, like, and but if it wasn't for that, but the difference was, and the biggest difference was, I wanted to learn, right? I
Yeah.
wanted to. Problem that we see, right, is that some people who come here, they don't want to change. They'll
Yeah.
say, well, in Florida or in Texas, we don't care. This
Yo.
ain't Florida. This ain't Texas. If you don't like it, go back.
Yo. That makes so much
So,
sense.
I think that was for me. What helped me is that I always had this attitude of wanting to, blend in and fit in with not change who I am, but still learn and kind of like.
Yeah. That's cool though. And I think, hold on, that must have been some rough times. He like shaking you up and get you all riled up, and then you gotta go give a report and be live on TV. That's
Oh,
I,
would call me like a minute after my report and go, Eddie, what the F is that? What the F was that? So hard, but you know what? Honestly, I'm at another station now, right?
yeah.
And standards are high. A lot of veterans are at this station. A lot of old school reporters, but I don't think it ever could get harder than how Robert was on me. Like, so what I'm saying is, I think he really set like what I could handle.
Oh yeah. You ran through the gauntlet, so everything else other than that is kind of not as bad,
Yeah.
huh? That's a cool story. So you said you were about 300 pounds. Like, what did you do to like shed that? Because you don't look like nearly that right now.
Uh, so I was always big. I was always a big kid. Um, I'm only now just starting to learn about like my childhood and stuff. We could talk for hours on this, but my birth mom was in my life till I was 8, but she couldn't really take care of me, right? Like mentally, and so long story short is she wasn't home when I needed her. She probably didn't feed me, and wasn't there when I was like crying in the crib. But the point is that I got an un- unhealthy relationship with food because it wasn't around when I was a baby, I think.
Oh, I see. That makes
So
sense.
yeah, so because of that, and I'm working on it to this day, but because of that, growing up, I was always thinking about when I could get food. So
Oh,
uh, yeah, like I was always like, so I gained a lot of weight. I was always big, and so it just got to the point where I finally got up to like 350 in my first job in Nebraska. And I don't know exactly what happened specifically. I just remember something about the stepping on the scale or something. Um, I mean, I can't remember the exact moment, but I just remember stepping on the scale, seeing the number. And I know people say that story a lot. And I just remember, just making small changes and working out. So I lost like 100 pounds in Nebraska.
okay.
But then when I moved to Hawaii, I gained like 70 back during
Well, that
like
makes sense.
late
Get
lunch.
good food here. Yeah. We don't
Uh,
have the healthiest
And
local food. Huh?
yeah, I think I tried every like chicken katsu and like in Hulu just to see which one had the best. And then lockdown happened and the gym shut down, so
Oh
I
yeah.
gained a lot of it. Um, um, but I was able to lose it again after like Robert died, and I was just like, frick, like I need to get my life back on track.
That's good. That's good that you acknowledge that and put yourself in a situation where you could bounce back. Yeah, local food is crazy. Like mac salad isn't really salad. It's noodles and
You want
mayonnaise. That's the worst.
you want tragedy? The most tragic, saddest thing.
What is that?
I don't eat rice anymore.
Oh, I tried that. I can't, bro.
So from here, right? I can do
Yeah,
it. I can.
that's true.
It's not something I grew up with. Listen, I'm just the type of person that if I had a bowl of rice and I had a cupcake, I'm going for the sweet. Like I'm
Oh, okay,
sweets.
okay. All right, all right.
But rice and me are a bad mix. That's how I gained the weight quick.
Okay. Shoot, maybe I should try cutting out the rice. Maybe like half scoop or
Nah,
something.
nah, nah.
So your social media presence is kind of big, and because you're in the public eye, how has that transcended to social media? Do you think it's important?
Yeah, so some might argue that I put too much effort on social media, not enough effort on my TV work. Um, uh, I know I've heard that before, but the thing is this: is that I'm the young generation, right? I'm
Yeah.
29, and the fact is that I mean, and if you find someone who will deny this, I will say they are crazy. I will. We're not supposed to take stands on something on stuff, right? We're not supposed to have opinions, but this is something where I will have an opinion on. Um, the people are not less and less people are watching TV.
True.
You know, less and less people are watching the news. Why? Because I can get the news on my phone. You know, I don't need to
100%.
wait till 5 o'clock to know that the H1 shut down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can get it as it's happening.
Yeah. And so people in Hawaii still do watch the news. Actually, out of it's called markets, TV markets. So like LA is a TV market, Honolulu is a TV market. So Hawaii actually has a very good TV market, and mostly because it's older. There's older
Yes,
people here. Uh, there's still good viewership in Hawaii in terms of, but the fact is this: that's going to change,
you're right.
you know, or not here anymore, you know. And so I know that I mean, we could be talking even 10 years, you know, um, that the it's going to be online. It's going to be on social media. It's going to be that's going to be the first place. That's going to be, and if you don't make a name for yourself on there, if you don't establish yourself on there and make that, you're going to get left behind. I think.
That's I agree. And I do agree with you. Just like the newspaper. My dad's 80 something and he gets a newspaper, but he's probably the only person that I know that gets a newspaper. I mean, you can get it on your phone, you can get it whatever, and you do have it spot on. It's the younger generation. They're not sitting at 5 o'clock to watch the news. They're on their phones and getting it immediately. Or even now, like my dad will tell me some story that he just seen on news, like, oh yeah, I seen that this morning. Or like it's immediate. You can get immediate access to any kind of breaking story with a video attached to it versus an unedited video.
Right, right. And so I don't know what it's going to look like down the road, but I do know that, I mean, I know this. I feel like I will fight someone about this is that um it will be online digital first. We're not there. I mean, we maybe are there already, but um and so I do try to focus uh a lot on, so for example, let's say there's a wall collapse, right? Let's say a wall, you know, there's been that happened recently, but a wall collapses, you know, on someone's home or something, right? um the story goes on at 5 o'clock, the five
Yeah.
o'clock news, but I'm there at 1 o'clock. So i'm gonna want to uh, I'm gonna try to take a video, you know, here's and report, here's what this is it right now, instead of posting the 5 o'clock story on social media. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, and it connects you personally too.
Right. But yeah, so I'm posting, I'm reporting the news as it's happening instead of taking my story, waiting until it airs at 5 and then posting the video of the story.
That makes sense. Does the channel seem frowned upon when you do that, or they don't care?
Um as long as I do my my as long as I meet my requirements, and get my story in, as long as I'm able to meet my deadlines, do my web story, um, do my job, you know, it's great, um, to have that, show that we are here, like we are here. Um, it's just, the only thing is this. The only thing is it's not traditional.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, um, like let's say I was doing a story, right? Uh, and I hear something, I'm like, and the governor says something, right? That's like, ooh, like he's going to put a tax on plate lunches, right?
yeah.
Um, I might like stop what I'm doing and make a video, like stop what I'm doing, make a video, spend maybe 10 minutes making a video to put out there. So I'm taking like 10 minutes, pause my work on my TV report to get that out there.
Oh, I
Um,
see.
where so it's like not traditional to do that. You know, you work on your story, do the web stuff, and then post.
Oh,
Uh,
and they don't
so
get mad that you'll break news before they do.
no, no, because I'm part of the station. I'm part of the station,
Oh, okay,
and
that makes
you
sense.
know, we'll send stuff in. Um, unless it's something like we want to hold, you know, like we
Yeah.
want to hold, because you know if you post something, you're tipping off the competition, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like if you post it first, it's coming from Eddie from Hawaii News Now. So it's still part of their brand.
Right, exactly. And sometimes I'll try to say, "This is Eddie with Hawaii News Now." But I'll tell you this, and wrapping up on this subject is when I was at KITV, um, I did I tried to do a lot of like Facebook lives. I tried to do a lot of like digital first happening now. So when I was covering like the rallies, remember the anti-vax rallies, the
Oh yeah.
anti-restriction rallies, beach lockdowns, like when the beach, like remember that when beaches were locked
Oh
down?
yeah, yep,
Like
yep.
I was trying to go live on Facebook all the time, like, hey, police are patrolling the beach right now, or like we're here at a rally. And I'll tell you this, I had more people while I worked at KITV recognize me from online than they did from TV.
Oh wow. That's
Yeah, I
crazy.
think, hey, did you watch the news? And they were like, oh no, but I saw you on, I saw your video on
Instagram,
Facebook or
yeah.
something.
That's it. That's cool. And you're right. That's now gonna be the kind of the switching of the guard is the times are changing and
Yeah,
people want their content instant and that's just how it is when you can, you know what I mean? Even I would think the people in the past would have wanted it immediate if they could.
yeah. So I think the only thing is just, you know, is if you're doing something a little untraditional, right? It can be a little like, but
Get a
no one,
little
not
kickback.
frown. I think everyone understands where things are going. It's just um I do things a little different. Um I remember my last station though. I can say this because I'm not there. Like there's someone, a coworker said to me is like, Eddie, um, we wouldn't want to take you away from like doing your Instagram video or like
Oh,
like a little comment like that. But that's the balance, right? Making sure that you are dedicating enough time to getting your TV product on the air, but also getting it out digitally. So it's a fair point, and it's just a balance we have to strike right now as we're doing both.
that makes sense. And I'm glad that you understand that and you're already implementing that in what you're doing. So what do you think you're gonna be doing and what do you see yourself doing in the future?
Ooh, so I want to stay in Hawaii. Um,
Nice.
that I came here wanting to find a place that I could settle down and make and invest in my community. And 4 years into it, I continue to see that. So my biggest goal is, um, when the people I look up to in this industry are, and this is wherever I go, is people who have made a name for themselves, but not just make a name for themselves. That's not the important part. It's people who have made connections with the community. And so people like Diana Cole, people like Mahealani Richardson, these are Joe Moore, people like Keahi Tucker, Stephanie Lum, Guy Hoggy. These are names you don't even have to watch the news to know, right?
Yeah, correct.
Um, and it's not about the fame really. It's about their connection to the community. They're connected to their community, and that's just so important to me. That connection, that investment, and so these people I get to work with, I look up to because that's what I want. That's my goal, was to always find the community that I could um, connect with. And when I go out reporting, you know, auntie will talk to me because she knows
Yeah.
who I am, you know. Trust me, it's a beautiful thing to have someone who, that relationship, even though you've never met them, but they know who you are and they'll talk story with you like you know.
Yeah, for
um
sure.
so that's what I want. My goal is to um continue to, whenever I can, give a voice. um I don't think I mentioned this, but when I was in foster care, I often felt like my voice wasn't heard. um I remember people would say to me like, "Oh, you should be grateful," or "Oh, you shouldn't complain. Like you have a family." Like, and I just remember feeling like my voice was minimized. Like I didn't have a voice as someone who was in foster care. Like, shouldn't my voice matter? Like, shouldn't I have a say in stuff? And so I think that sticks with me today because I really, whenever I see situations where people are not really heard, especially locals,
Yeah.
uh, it really bothers me because I know what it's like to to not feel like I was given a voice. And so if I can use my privilege to help auntie who's getting harassed by whatever,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
who, someone who's been complaining to the city for months about this illegal dumping going on, but feels like no one's listening to her. That's my passion, is giving a voice to whenever I can to people who are not really being listened to.
Oh, that makes sense. And I guess people are listening to you now, man. They hear your voice now. So it's like that's your
Whether,
goal. That's awesome.
whether they uh, um but yeah, I want to settle down, make a life here, you know, all this stuff.
Do it, man. You young, you got plenty time and
How old
shoot,
are you?
just I'm old or in my 40s. Yep, for sure. But I think that you figured it out, bro. And I think I wish more people that move to Hawaii could figure it out. And right, you're living aloha, and that's kind of what this island and this culture is trying to build. I think that what you got going on is good, and I think you're smart into the direction that you're trying to take your career. And you're inspiring, bro. You got a cool story. You got a super cool story, and just your little clips and stuff. Yeah, just there are certain things that you post that resonate with me, and I'm sure resonate with other people. And you're not ashamed to put struggling situations that you had out there, and that, like you said, that'll connect with people. It connected with me. You mentioned something about being picked last for sports at school, and I was like 2 feet tall, and I would have the same problem. And I was like, oh, yep, I know what you mean. And to see your success and the fact that you gambled on yourself, took a chance, and went all in, rolled the dice, and moved to a place that you knew nothing about was it's kind of inspiring in and of itself. And I think that it's going to be fun to watch how your career is going to be in the future. And I definitely want you to come back in a few years and see where you're at. And yeah, dude, it's going to be exciting to see. And bro, the sky's the limit. You have no cap.
I have to tell everyone I went around saying aloha to everyone.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, it's funny. We had that, you know, conversation about aloha, but like I said, that was an example of someone kind enough to say, um, oh, a lot of us say for casual things, you know,
Yo,
like
yo.
hello. But anyway, I appreciate you having me on, brother. And if you see me acting up, let me know.
Well, I appreciate
Thank
you for taking your time out. I know you're on vacation and stuff. We've been going for an hour, and this was a cool conversation. On Instagram, I want people to check you out. Where can people find you?
You can just type Eddie Dowd. I think I'm like the only one with that account. And yeah, I'm most active on there. I'm on Facebook, and so yeah.
Right on. We can check him out there. And for us, you can check us out at Above the Bridge Podcast, Instagram, YouTube. Our website is atbpod.com, and my personal Instagram is ThattyDaddyHi. Appreciate you for coming on. And like I said, I'm definitely excited to see where your career is gonna take you. And I mean, Joe Moore is not gonna be there forever, even though his hair will be, because that thing don't move. But I would like to see.
I have one question for you though, as we
Okay,
end.
what's up? What's up?
Ask one question as a reporter. You got it.
Okay, what's up?
Um, what's something you wish you could tell yourself, your 29-year-old self?
Oh, what something I could tell my 29-year-old self? Well, when I was 29, I used to compete in martial arts and stuff like that, and I thought I was the man. So as what I know now, if I could talk to my 29-year-old self, I would definitely put myself in check and let myself know that you got to be more humble. I would also probably tell myself that you have a lot to learn in this life, and you have to be receptive and listen to what people tell you without putting up a wall thinking that you know everything. So I think I learned that later on. And the last thing I would want to tell my 29-year-old self would be to appreciate my parents, because I've learned as an adult watching them interact with my daughter how much they did for me. And at the time, I didn't appreciate it because I didn't really know. So looking back now, I would probably tell myself, hey, man, your parents are cool. They do a lot for you. Appreciate it. Because like my mom's gone, and I would yeah, I would want my younger self to have more time in my life appreciating them versus towards the tail end. You know what I mean? I did appreciate them a lot, that and my dad right now. And I just wish I had more time to appreciate them, if that makes sense.
It does. It
That's a
does.
that's a
Yeah.
freaking great question, bro. You're good.
Uh, uh, brother, appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, man. I hope to meet you in person and give you a hug, bro. And thank you for
We go
coming on my
we go
show.
we go Sandies.
Yeah, let's go, bro. Right on. Well, shakas for the cameras. Right on. We're out. Shout out to the Artist Group Network. Aloha.